Even in 2013 was not inevitable. It could have been avoided. As a matter of fact, I was one of those who was telling the president that the demands that were put forward by Riek Machar should have been accepted because they would not have done any harm. He basically made 3 demands that when the National Convention is held, because the whole idea now was when the National Convention is held, who would be elected as the standard bearer of the SPLM and who would be the candidate of the SPLM in the presidential elections in 2015. That was what it was all about. And so both President Salva and Dr. Riek Machar wanted to be elected as that candidate. Dr. Machar, to enhance what he thought would enhance his chances of being selected as the chair of the SPLM in the National Convention, was basically to put 3 conditions forward. He insisted that the chairman of the SPLM should not select 5% of the membership of the National Convention, that the chairman of the SPLM should be elected by the National Convention along with his deputies. And third, and more importantly, that when it comes to elections in the National Convention, they should be done by secret ballot. I tried to persuade President Salva that he should accept those demands, because looking at them critically, in fact, some people even try to dissuade him from going along with the idea of having people vote, convention delegates vote by secret ballot. They were telling him that, if you accepted that, our people are illiterate. And so most of them might end up voting for Riek Machar by mistake, which was quite a ridiculous argument. But he seems to have voted, you see. And as a result, he rejected all the demands. Now, the sad thing, the tragedy, is that after these demands were rejected and people went to armed conflict and a lot of lives were lost, he came back in 2015 and accepted those very demands.
Welcome to Lex Media, our viewers all around the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are tuning in. Subscribe to the channel and also share it to all the followers such that everybody will watch this. We welcome you all on board with us in the studio today, tonight, this afternoon. Honorable General Nhial and Abraham Awolech and my colleagues of Lex Media, Abraham Madin Majak and Majong Makur. We will host this show. This is very important show for all of us to listen and hear from the new leader of the party, South Sudan Salvation Movement, General Nhial. Yes, I know everybody is waiting for this time, and now we are on live. Abraham Madid, take it up here, and later on we have to go down. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Isaac. Let me welcome General Nhial. Isaac, can you mute yourself?
Okay, yes.
Yeah. Let me welcome General Nhial Deng. Nhial for Lex Media. It is our honor to receive you today. For that, let me apologize to our audience for.
I need to mute myself from the clubhouse.
Yes.
Okay.
Both of them. Yeah. So, yeah. Let me welcome. Thank you. Let me give this chance to our General Secretary, Majong Makur Malak, to take over from here. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the show. Thank you. Majong, you can take over from here.
Thank you so much, Abraham Adit, President Isaac Tiampol, Lex Media. To our viewers, wherever you are tuning in, welcome to Lex Media Beyond Boundaries. Tonight, this afternoon, or this morning, depending whatever time zone you are in, we have a very important guest, and we will engage in a national political conversations at this hour. And through these conversations, many of you have been waiting very eagerly to listen to General Nhial Deng, and also to ask him some questions which most of you could not have an opportunity to ask him. This morning, Honorable General Nhial is here on Lex Media to address some of the key questions that are actually roaming in the minds and the hearts of South Sudanese across the nations and across the globe, wherever you are in. Before I dive into the biography briefly, kindly I'm requesting our viewers to share this live show. It is a meaningful conversation, and we need to have a dialogue with the citizens and also to have a platform to listen to him. Please share the live show. And if you have any questions, other citizens of that country, South Sudan, you are entitled to pose your questions under the comment section, and the team of Lex Media in the studio will display your questions on the screen later on for our guest to answer. Before I move quickly also to his biography, permit me to introduce Abraham Wolich. Abraham Wolich is one of the prominent South Sudanese, the man who engaged in the issues of politics, socially and economics-wide in that country. Most of you know him, and he has been on this platform several times, and he is a member of CCA, actually, sorry for that. And not only that, he has held several positions before, especially in terms of research, and he's an academic in that regard. Most of you are familiar with him. The reason why he's on the platform today is also to ask some of the open-ended questions that contain the governance setup of our country, saying these conversations is at a certain level. So we need him to actually align his questions with the Lex Media and the questions that South Sudanese might be in a position to listen to. Thank you so much. Let me move quickly to our guest. Our guest, General Nhial, is a prominent politician of South Sudan. And during the struggle before the independence of our country, he went to school, he studied in several schools, and he obtained his Bachelor of Law in University of Khartoum. And during that time, he actually played a critical role during the struggle of the SPLM before South Sudan gained independence in 2011. And he also held a lot of positions during that struggle. He was the governor of Greater Barkazal during those days, especially in 1994 to 1999. He has been a minister of SPLA affairs. And after that, he resigned in the year 2006 when things were not moving the way he wanted them to move. And after his resignation, he went back to the university to pursue his master's degrees in law in University of Sudan in UK, of which he obtained successfully. And thereafter, before we gained independence during the negotiation with the Sudan government, he was the chief negotiator during the comprehensive peace agreement of that gave birth to South Sudan through self-determination. After South Sudan gained independence, Honorable General Nhial held several positions in the government. At the first positions, he was appointed as a Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperations, which he held several times, and thereafter he was relieved and appointed again as a Minister of Presidential Affairs. And before and after that, he was appointed as a senior presidential advisor to give some advice to President Salva Kiir. After he was relieved, he was also appointed. He was actually a member of political bureau before he declared his suspension of the SPLA membership and formed his own political party, which is South Sudan Salvation Movement. And through that, General Deng is a member of National Legislative Assembly, who was actually elected democratically, and he is still holding that position up to date. But we have had the news from the SPLM last week that he has been suspended for holding that position because he has decided to move out of that house of the SPLM. This is the brief biography of Honorable General Nhial, and he has several achievements during his lifetime, and is still continuing achieving more as we speak. our audience, the people watching Clubhouse, YouTube, Facebook, and other media outlets, permit me to invite our guests to give us one of the opening remarks before we dive into the conversations of today. Gerald Deng, we appreciate you on behalf of Lex Media for creating time to come and have meaningful conversation with your fellow citizens of that young nation, South Sudan. The chance is yours. You can unmute yourself and give us your opening remark before we dive into the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Majok, and thank you to the staff of Lex Media for having afforded me this opportunity to interact with the people of South Sudan, wherever they may be, inside the country and in other locations in the world. It is indeed a privilege and a great opportunity for me to be able maybe to elaborate a little bit more on the declaration I made and speak about the reasons that prompted me to make that declaration, basically freezing my membership temporarily of the SPLM to form an outfit which I basically designed to be a vehicle, an instrument for initiating and carrying out reforms, very badly needed reforms in the SPLM. There is nothing wrong with the SPLM. It's a wonderful vehicle through which we wage the revolutionary armed struggle, and an excellent vehicle for building the state and building the nation. Unfortunately, it has been beset by leadership failures, which I shall be able, hopefully, to expand upon. But generally, I'm very delighted with this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Gerald Deng. We deeply appreciate your time, and we believe the conversations will be meaningful, as most of the citizens anticipate to hear more from you. Dear viewers, before I move to the questions, permit me to give 1 minute to my co-host, Abraham Wallich, to give us his brief opening remark, and thereafter we'll move to the questions. Abraham, the chance is yours.
Thank you very much, Brother Majok, and the leadership of Lake State Media for affording Honorable Nhial and the people of South Sudan the opportunity to listen today. I have nothing much to say, but to say that, Honorable Nhial, you are welcome. Your appearance on Lake Media is highly anticipated, and the people of South Sudan are yearning to hear more from you. You are a core member of the SPLM and one of the leaders of the people of South Sudan. And should you reach a point where you decide to leave the country and declare a new organization, they want to know more. And so my hope is that we will have this conversation on behalf of the people of South Sudan, and that you will be able to expound on your declaration, which is very elaborate, and that they will gain more insights into the issues, the critical issues that are affecting the country. So you are welcome, and we look forward to this conversation.
Thank you so much, Abraham Wallich. General Honorable Nhial, after you made declarations and actually forming your political party, the declaration obtained 3 things, and that is where we'll start our conversation in. In your declaration, you suspend your membership from the SPLM, and subsequently you form your political party, which is South Sudan Salvation Movement. And on the same notes, you already declare your alliances with the group existing already, the UPA. These 3 things, that's where our conversation will start in. And to begin with, Honorable, your declarations came in at a very critical hour, where most of South Sudanese were looking unto the leadership on how to transform the economy of the country, to transform the leadership of the country, and how to chart the way forward in order to reduce the suffering of South Sudanese. And after that, many were shocked to hear your declarations. And that is why this conversation is meaningful to many of them who are now watching us. Our questions, General Honorable, is that what is specific factors prompted you to suspend your membership from the SPLM while you held several positions under that party, which is the ruling party and mother party, and while you actually were a member of political bureau? What is the specific reason that prompted you? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That's a key question. As a matter of fact, I have had the opportunity, being in the leadership of the SPLM and being a member of the executive arm of government as well as the legislative arm of government, I've been afforded the opportunity to be able to contribute, you see, to resolving the problems that face our country, to make the country a better place to live in. But unfortunately, it has taken quite some time for me to take this decision. It was not a decision that I took lightly. And the fact that it might appear to most people that it is rather late in the day for me to take such a decision, it is really because I am one of those people. I see myself as patient. I see myself as a person acting with restraint. The movement has come under a lot of turbulence in its history. But let us take from independence up to this point. Our problems have been revolving around power. The problem of South Sudan is basically the problem of power struggle. The conflict that stems from this power struggle, the serious economic decline that stems from this, are all the result of poor governance, whether at the level of the SPLM as a political organization or at the level of the state, at the executive branch of the government. I have been one of those who have been engaging with the leadership for quite a long time. You see, basically trying to have a dialogue and trying to persuade our leadership on the need to go back to basics. Going back to basics meaning basically going back to the SPLM. Because what happened and what prompted me to depart in 2006 was that from the moment we lost our founding leader, Dr. John Garang Damabur, I noticed that our movement started drifting away. Not only were the policies that the SPLM was supposed to formulate and use to run the government being thrown away, but even the cadres, the leading cadres of the movement were being marginalized. So it was clear to me that our president and chairman had decided to move in a different direction. And so I left. When I returned in 2008 and rejoined the government, again, there was a lot of, not pressure, but people basically insisted that I should rejoin the government. At first, when I came back, after I left, I basically wanted to confine my activities to the SPLM as a political party and not to participate in the executive. But at that time, the president and many people thought that I would best serve in the government. That's where my abilities could best be utilized. So I accepted. All along, I've been trying to persuade the leadership on the need to work collectively within the SPLM. That has not happened. Even in 2013 was not inevitable. It could have been avoided. As a matter of fact, I was one of those who was telling the president that the demands that were put forward by Riek Machar should have been accepted because they would not have done any harm. He basically made three demands. That when the National Convention is held, because the whole idea now was when the National Convention is held, who would be elected as the standard bearer of the SPLM and who would be the candidate of the SPLM in the presidential elections in 2015. That was what it was all about. And so both President Salva and Dr. Riek Machar wanted to be elected as that candidate. Dr. Machar, to enhance what he thought would enhance his chances of being selected as the chair of the SPLM in the National Convention, was basically to put three conditions forward. He insisted that the chairman of the SPLM should not select 5% of the membership of the National Convention, that the chairman of the SPLM should be elected by the National Convention along with his deputies. And third, and more importantly, that when it comes to elections in the National Convention, they should be done by secret ballot. I tried to persuade President Salva that he should accept those demands, because looking at them critically, in fact, some people even try to dissuade him from going along with the idea of having people vote, convention delegates vote by secret ballot. They were telling him that, if you accepted that, our people are illiterate, and so most of them might end up voting for Riek Machar by mistake, which was quite a ridiculous argument. But he seems to have bought it, you see, and as a result, he rejected all the demands. Now, the sad thing, the tragedy, is that after these demands were rejected and people went to armed conflict and a lot of lives were lost, he came back in 2015 and accepted those very demands, you see. So all along, the reason why I've stayed all this long is because I had always hoped that I would be able, maybe with some other colleagues, to persuade him first to come back to the SPLM fold, because when he took over, he was persuaded that those SPLM colleagues of yours that have come with you from Bilfam are up to no good. Actually, they want to replace you. They want to remove you. And he took that to heart, and he started basically undermining his colleagues in the leadership. And that, of course, has ended, as we all know, with the humiliating dismissal of historical leaders of the SPLM, those of Wani, those of General Awed, those of General Kwalmanyang. So he bought into that and started distancing himself. But for me, I did not lose hope, you see. Even in 2013, when most of my colleagues, like-minded colleagues, left, I stayed behind, still hoping that through dialogue, through persuasion, we might be able to convince Salva Kiir to come back to the fold. Unfortunately, this did not happen. And this is one of the reasons that prompted me, because I now came to the realization, especially after the dismissal of Comrade Wani, Awed, and Kwalmanyang, I came to the conclusion that there was no way the chairman was going to change his way. So I had to leave. Another reason that might have delayed me from taking this decision is the fact that in our movement, the SPLM, we have a kind of almost a military style discipline, and normally you don't stick your neck out before your seniors do that. So naturally, one would have been expecting that my colleagues, especially Wani, Kwal, and Awed, would be the ones to take the lead, would be the ones to initiate, basically talking to the chairman and trying to persuade him to come back. It was not yet my turn. But after they were, they were dismissed, it became clear that somebody else within the leadership now has to take charge, you see, and speak out and move. So basically, the reasons are that we have reached a stage where there is total failure. There is total failure of governance. The transition has come to a halt. The conflict in South Sudan is about political power. And the problem is the way in which it is being managed, you see, because the way political power is managed is that the populace, the people have to be given the right, to select their leaders in free and fair democratic elections. If people are elected by the people, then they have the mandate, then they have the legitimacy. But, if you deny people the opportunity to elect their leaders, it means that you are actually denying those opportunities to access peace, to access power through peaceful and democratic methods. If they cannot access power through peaceful democratic means, what will they do? They will resort to arms. And that's the reason for violence. This is why South Sudan is violent. So as a matter of fact, until and unless the government accepts for the transition to start moving forward towards elections after we formulate a permanent constitution, South Sudan will remain beset by chronic violence. It will never stop.
Thank you, Honorable. You have highlighted some of the points that prompted you to decide and make your critical decisions in regard to the leadership of the SPLM. To what extent, Honorable, did political ideologies, leadership style, or internal party dynamics influence the decisions? To what extent?
Well, if you look at the SPLM itself, it has become more or less just an ornament. There's no SPLM. You know, a political party is formed in order to strive for political power through the political process. And there are activities that the political party has to do in order to be able to access that power or to retain that power. The SPLM, as a political outfit, does not formulate any policy. You know, the government that is supposed to be the government of the SPLM does not work with the policy of the SPLM, because the SPLM itself does not formulate any policies. You have got structures, you have got a secretariat, you have got office bearers, but they never sit to discuss policy. The only activity that the SPLM conducts is they don't even organize, of course, rallies. They don't talk to the grassroots. The only activity that the SPLM carries out and on which money is spent is to gather SPLM cadres. We dress up in the red outfit with the yellow star. We go to the meeting venue, and all we do is basically make chant slogans endorsing President Salva Kiir and chairman of the SPLM as the candidate in the next elections. Yes, I mean it's a key activity of a political party to campaign for its candidates, and to that extent, you can of course organize rallies and meetings, but it cannot be the sole activity of a political party. A political party basically has to organize a program that it submits to the populace to be studied, basically, and if it is a program that the population has accepted, then they will vote you in power. You know, I used to tell my colleagues in the SPLM that basically what we have with the people of South Sudan now is a honeymoon. A honeymoon as a result of the fact that it is we, the liberators, who have delivered independence. But once we deliver independence, we should not sit on our laurels. We should not think that, okay, we deserve to run the affairs of the country as a reward for what we did in the bush, for the achievements that we did. No, we have to have a record of achievement, a record of performance, because once we have become a state, people are looking at the provision of services, you see. And I say that the struggle of the SPLM is divided into two phases. It's only phase one that has been achieved. It's the liberation phase that has delivered independence that has been achieved. But the other phase, which is the phase of nation state building and nation formation, has barely been touched. And nothing is being done by the SPLM at all to address these issues. And if the SPLM cannot address these issues, cannot deliver services, cannot seek to unite the country, bring about cohesion, try to bring the different ethnic groups that form South Sudan into one create a national identity, then the SPLM has basically failed to discharge its mission. You see, this is the problem.
Thank you, Gerald. You have mentioned the SPLM has really failed the country, and since you have held several positions in the SPLM party, did you attempt to do some reform internally before you arrived to your decisions in order to put the SPLM at the right track? You mentioned before that you spoke to the president, but nothing worked out. Did you spoke within the SPLM party, considering the positions you were holding as the member of political bureau and your influence in that party and the trust the party has on you? Thank you.
Brother Majuk, before the Honorable responded, I have a probing question also along with that. And that is for Honorable Nhial to tell us exactly how decisions are made in the SPLM and how decisions are supposed to be made in the SPLM. And since when did the party start to drift apart? Is it starting all the way from 2006, or is it after the split of 2013? So I'm interested, and I think the people of South Sudan are also interested to get a sense of how the SPLM actually makes decisions, in addition to what Brother Majoga has just asked you. Thank you.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, the SPLM basically is not active. Basically, it's like you have set up an organization, then you have made it dormant. You see, it's not active. When we were in the bush during the early days, one of the things that the colleagues of Dr. John Garang used to fault him for was that John Garang was not calling meetings. John Garang was taking decisions alone. The leadership in those days perhaps had good reason not to be meeting as frequently as they're supposed to be, because all the members of the political military high command basically were commanders of military zones. So they had assignments in the field, which were probably more important than rushing to meetings, because consultations could easily be done using radio communication. The SPLA had a very sophisticated radio communication system. Our signals, or our signals intelligence, was probably very advanced, even for a guerrilla movement. And so there was a lot of security in terms of communication. So the leadership could consult among themselves without necessarily having to come to one venue. But some of the colleagues of Dr. John, including Comrade Salva Kiir himself, were insisting that people had to meet, and that Dr. John was not convening meetings. Now that we are an independent state and we have ample opportunity to meet and to discuss government business, the SPLM itself hardly ever meets. The SPLM itself does not meet. As I said, when the SPLM meets, it's to set up a committee, basically to prepare a rally for us to endorse President Salva as the candidate. So, although the SPLM, of course, also has its constitution, it has got basic documents, because you asked, how does the SPLM conduct its business? The SPLM does not even refer to those documents. The dismissals of those of Wani and is not sanctioned by any of the provisions in the constitution of the SPLM. This was just being done unilaterally without recourse to the guiding documents that are supposed to sanction such activities. So yes, the SPLM, as I said, is there, but it does not do the work that it's supposed to do, and it does not definitely follow its own documents and procedural guidelines that it lays down. So it's like the SPLM is being activated just as a formality, but really nobody wants to use it, you see. And perhaps also this has got to do with the personnel in the SPLM and the leadership of the SPLM. Maybe the leadership does not believe that the people who are in leadership positions at this moment support the leadership of Chairman Salva Kiir, and therefore we could see that there have been attempts even to overhaul the membership of the SPLM. Maybe this also shows that we, the cadres of the SPLM, are no longer trusted by our own brother and comrade, and therefore it is important for him to bring others to work with him. Now, if you bring others into the SPLM house, basically they will come with their own agenda. They will not work with the SPLM agenda, or the SPLM vision will be discarded. And this is precisely what's happening.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable, for that. And thank you, Abraham Woolwich, for that follow-up question. Indeed, Gerald, you have mentioned the way the SPLM operates currently, but can you shed more light on if President Kiir does not listen to people like you and the like of Gerald Kwalmanyang Juk, the like of Gerald Daniel Wanakut, and also Professor Dr. James Wani Iga. Who makes decision of the SPLM? Because we are seeing the arrival of new political blood into the party of the SPLM. Who makes those decisions?
I think even after before the recent events, it's not clear what the mechanism is. But what I also want to point out, because we might be, I and my other colleagues who have been dismissed might be accused of being disloyal, maybe to Chairman Kiir. That is a complete myth. Nobody in the leadership of the SPLM at one point in time entertained the idea that we do not want Kiir to continue as the chairman of the SPLM. When we lost Dr. Garang, his rise to succeed Garang was automatic. There was no dispute about that, because we in the SPLM tend to be, as I mentioned before, we have a high level of discipline, a high level of commitment to structure and to seniority. And so we did not even pause to think twice about who should succeed Garang. So all the things that were being said about X or Y and Z being groomed to succeed him and so on, including myself, is totally rubbish. There's no truth in that. And even most of the people who are very close to Chairman Kiir himself have been telling him that it's not true that Nhial has any designs on your position whatsoever. That issue was laid to rest in Rumbek when late Garang said that, how do you expect me to bring Nhial? Because if I bring Nhial, it will not only be Salva that he will replace, but anybody who is senior to him, I'll have to sack them. I'll have to remove them. So it's not true. So there is no issue at all that there is a problem of loyalty to the leadership of President Kiir. All we wanted was to continue to work alongside him as our leader, as our chairman, to put in place, the guiding principles that underpin the movement, that were behind the formation of the movement in the first place. Because we were very optimistic when we achieved independence, because we thought that with the vision of the SPLM, and one of the most important things that I think we continue only to pay lip service to, even this government, is the notion of taking towns to the people. You can't be singing about taking towns to the people without actually putting in place the policies that will take towns to the people. You can take towns to the people without, a governance structure that basically devolves authority to subnational levels of government, and not only empowers them politically, but also empowers them materially with resources from the budget to be able to render service and transform the rural areas into towns. So this is just an example. So basically, all that we came with from the bush in terms of our principles, our programs, we have just been thrown away.
Thank you, Honorable, for that. Would you describe your departure from the SPLM as a resignation, a protest, or a strategic political move?
Well, it's a strategic political move because I've not basically resigned. I've frozen my membership. And what I would like to tell our people, whom I would like to urge, especially SPLM cadres, whom I'd like to urge to join the SSM, is that we are only using the SSM as a vehicle to reclaim the SPLM. The SPLM has veered off the track. We want to bring it back on track. And for you in the diaspora, you can directly join the SSM, and through the SSM, of course, you will become a member of the UPA. But for those of you who are inside, you don't need to leave your positions. Remain in the SPLM. Do what needs to be done to effect reforms from within. Do what we in the SSM would like to do, such that there is change, and then the SPLM can go back to what it really is.
I have a follow-up question on that.
Yes, come on.
Yes, Honorable Nhial, that very point is a point of contention, especially among your would-be supporters. They wonder, what if you are unable to reform the SPLM. What if the SPLM cannot be wrestled away from the jaws of the current elements that have taken it over? Should the people of South Sudan be beholden to stick to the SPLM no matter what? Or could there be alternative pathways to achieve the same goals and vision of the SPLM without necessarily wearing the SPLM T-shirt? And people keep wondering if Honorable Nhial has frozen his membership in the SPLM. What does he want us to do? Should we also freeze our membership if we want to support him? Or should we go with him, and then if we have the opportunity to come back, we come back and then take over the SPLM? So there is a dilemma there which you probably need to expound more on.
Well, for me, I do not believe that I can pursue the agenda of the reform of the SPLM, meanwhile being formally part of the SPLM, and that's why I've decided to freeze. But for the rest of the comrades who are SPLM members, there is absolutely nothing that prevents them from pursuing the agenda reform from within the SPLM, meanwhile wearing the cloak of the SPLM. You are SPLM, you continue in the SPLM, but do what needs to be done. We need basically a reform movement within the reform movement itself has to act within the SPLM itself. And that's why my appeal is primarily to SPLM members. Of course, there have been voices. Some people have told me that they appreciate the declaration and the formation of the SSM, but they would like actually to be SSM members and would not like to be associated with the SPLM. My answer to them is that even for you to reform the SPLM, to reclaim the SPLM for SPLM members, you need access to power. You see, you need access to power. So when you access power, you'll be able to do that reform. But there is nothing basically to prevent you to do the work of the SPLM. Meanwhile, you are inside. If for some reason later on, if the SSM succeeds in its mission and the SPLM is salvaged, is reclaimed, and we now formally retake our position in the SPLM, for those who do not wish to be SPLM, they can stay behind. They can even use the SSM if they want as their own political vehicle. I'd just like maybe to paraphrase what late Dr. John used to say about those who were not too keen on the notion of a new Sudan and a united Sudan on a new basis. Dr. John used to tell them that they were basically separatists. They wanted a separate, independent South Sudan. And Dr. John would say that there's no problem. Basically, there is an obstacle to both an independent South Sudan and a new Sudan. Whether you are for independent South Sudan or for a new Sudan, there's an obstacle that you must work with others to remove. And so let's go together. If we reach Kosti, you, the adherents of the independent South Sudan, you can come back and allow those who want to pursue the new Sudan to continue. So it's the same. I would like everybody to come on board to join the SSSM, because the SSSM is a very important vehicle. It's one of the important vehicles for political change in our country, because it is only when this political change is achieved that all of us will be able now to achieve our various, to pursue our different divergent political agendas. That's very important. That's why I believe that it's very important for the opposition, all those who would like to see change, to come together.
Thank you so much, Honorable Nhial. There is also a follow-up questions in regard to that, because you have mentioned several times that SSM is a vehicle to transform the SPLM party. And when I hope you listened to the press release by the SPLM Secretariat, and which was actually read out by Honorable Paul Mokwang, the Secretary for Political Affairs and Organizations. He mentioned one thing, that how do you transform the party that you have left and you form your own party? Kindly, can you answer that question? What are the modalities you want to lay down or maybe approach to use in order to penetrate in the SPLM whom you have already left and transform it? How possible is that?
It's quite possible, because probably the vast majority of SPLM members currently in SPLM structures support and sympathize totally with the formation of the SSM. So they will actually be working inside SSM. So if they are working inside, then it means that it is possible to transform it. Yeah, it is possible to transform it. Yeah.
Now you have joined the UPA. Will the UPA accept that analogy of using the whole entire alliance to transform the party existing already?
No, the UPA, of course, is an association of different political groups. We all have divergent agendas, as I mentioned before, but there will have to be a bare minimum that brings us together in the UPA. And I believe that the bare minimum that unites us in the UPA, including all other opposition movements that are not part of the UPA, is this idea that we need to bring about political change. It is only once that political change is brought, then each and every one of us will have the opportunity to pursue their political objectives. Now, the most important thing that we have as South Sudanese to rally behind all is that the only way to bring peace and end violence permanently is for the current transition period to be unblocked. The transition has been blocked. It has been stalled. You see, let me say again, if the transition is stalled, if it does not move forward, it means that you are not going to go to elections. If you do not go to elections, then you are basically telling the people of South Sudan that there is really no peaceful method of pursuing power. If there is no peaceful method of pursuing power, you people will just go back to the bush. Those of SPLM-IO will intensify their campaign. Other groups outside carrying guns will intensify their campaign, and the country will be destroyed. So it is in the interest of all of us, including the SPLM-IG, to make sure that the transition carries on, moves in a forward direction. You see, because unless the people of South Sudan have a government that they have mandated, a government that is legitimate, that they've chosen by themselves, they will not accept a government to be imposed on them. Any government imposed on the people of South Sudan, they will be resisted. And that resistance, of course, will take also violent forms. You see, that is the fundamental question. That's really the main thrust of the SSM now. Our position is that as expeditiously as possible, the Constitution must be drafted and finalized. And on the basis of that Constitution, elections be held before 2026. This is the only way you can save South Sudan. If this is not done, I can see a situation which is already extremely bad deteriorating further. And if it deteriorates further, I think we even run the risk of South Sudan getting dismembered.
Thank you, Honorable. We would appreciate if there could be more light, because it's getting darker at the background, and maybe the viewers would like to read your lips accordingly in a light. We'll appreciate that. Thank you. Before we move to section 2 of our questions, and maybe section 3, which my co-host Abraham Wolich will take more on that, I would like to ask a few questions, especially 2 which are similar. Do you think currently you have formed your own political party? Do you think you still have a room to negotiate with the SPLM, to collaborate, or maybe to have a specific dialogue with the President Kiir? If President Kiir decided today to reach out to you and say, that is not what I expect from you, can you come back? Let's talk and let's move this party to the next level. Do you still have that room?
Yeah, of course. There's no problem. Let me take it in 2 parts. First, in relation to the SPLM, of course, the SPLM has to go back to the drawing board. It has to rediscover itself, basically rediscover itself and democratize. You see, because if we are calling if democracy, democratic political governance, is one of the tenets that the SPLM believes in and would like to promote, then we can't afford not to be democratic internally. This is as far as the SPLM is concerned. So if President Kiir is willing basically to take back the SPLM to where it was, of course, I would be willing to have a dialogue with him. The other dialogue that I would really be interested to have with him is on the question of the transition, the agreement, the RRCs, and then the two main initiatives. These are documents that provide the pathway, you see, to peace and to peaceful democratic transfer of power. You see, the continuous attempts, or basically the continuous extensions of the transition period will not help us, you see, because the violence that has gripped the country will only get worse, you see, because all those people outside there carrying guns are doing so because they have been denied a share of power. And that share of power, we want it to be attained through peaceful democratic means. So give them the opportunity to access it through peaceful democratic means. Let us stop the continuous extensions of the transition period. Let us have a constitution written as soon as possible, of course, with the inclusive participation of all the South Sudanese. And then after that, let us have elections as promised. Let the talk about elections by 2026 not just be mere lip service. Let us actually do it, and let us prepare the ground very well for it by writing the constitution. Of course, there are other aspects of the agreement, RCs, which, in our view, in the SSM, we think they are important, but they are not absolutely essential. They do not block the transition. The things that can block the transition from moving is the lack of a constitution and not conducting elections. But all other aspects of the RRCs, both the economic reform aspects, the security aspects, the formation of single unified national army, and other elements of the RRCs can actually be deferred for action by the post-election government. But let us not use the fact that the RRCs is a very bulky document and has got very many provisions that it will take time to implement, and we do not have resources to implement it. Let people not use that as a pretext for blocking the transition. That's our position. The transition must be allowed to carry its course with the things that are really important, the constitution and the election. But this can be done before 2026.
Thank you, Honorable. I think Abraham Awolich will have a follow-up questions because he spoke things to do with the democracy, and the SPLM should democratize the party and have opened space for the nation to move on. But before that, you have spoke eloquently in regard to pushing for the nation to go for elections. Assuming the leadership of the SPLM, the SPLM-IO, and all other parties which are members of the revitalized peace agreement, accepted today that we are going for elections on December 2026. Will you support President Kiir for presidency, or you will move on as a separate party?
That would depend on what happens in the SPLM between now and then, because you know what we want our decisions to be taken collectively by the leadership of the SPLM. We do not want unilateral decisions by Kiir or by anybody. If Kiir basically accepts the SPLM to be empowered and decisions to be taken by the leadership of the SPLM collectively, and for us to follow our constitution, our basic laws and regulations, then that will now determine whether we will select Kiir to be our candidate for the next elections or not. Even the manner in which the issue of nominating Chairman Kiir, you see, to be our candidate in the next presidential elections, the manner, the methodology is totally incorrect. You see, you don't. The SPLM is a political organization. When you want to campaign for its leadership or its leader to be the candidate in the elections, you don't go to the regions. You don't go to the regions. You go to the party organs. You call for the national convention to take that decision. It is not taken in Wau or in Juba or in Malakal. You see, these are the problems. The SPLM itself is not being run as a political outfit. It's like being run like a collection of tribal groupings or regional groupings. These are some of the things that we believe that needs to be corrected. And if President Kiir is willing to consider a dialogue so that we can correct these things, then of course, definitely, we would be very much interested to have that dialogue.
Yeah, thank you. Abraham Walid.
Thank you, Brother Majuk. And Honorable Nhial, we wonder if you could have more light in your room there. It appears to be getting darker.
Yeah.
And
could we just have a break?
Okay.
I can sort that out, yeah.
Okay. Maybe let's have a break for like 2 minutes.
2 minutes. The team in the studio take care of that.